Greetings and welcome to Healing Conversations with me, Ntabise Ngwepe. I'm particularly excited by this evening's episode because we're speaking to someone who's going to equip us, who's going to empower us, and who's going to help us forge a way forward in terms of dealing with trauma and recovering. It's always a challenge to rebuild one's life, particularly after a life-altering event. And to get us on the right track, Cathy Mphirima is a life coach, a DJ, and a contributor within the mental health space. She speaks audibly and with authority on topics such as rebuilding one's life and moving forward. So today, I'm excited to be speaking to her. Sis Cathy, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I was in Tavilekai.
Oh, now we are so blessed to have you in our studios today.
No, I'm actually humbled to be here.
Let's start here. Many people go through traumatic experiences. It either shapes you or it breaks you. And for some, it, shapes the lens through which you view life. Mm-hmm. Is it possible really for one to recover from a traumatic experience?
Indeed, it is possible for one to recover from a traumatic experience. And I think most of the time, whenever we talk about trauma, we think about the most maybe accidents, maybe other stuff, but one going into a divorce, it's a trauma. Kids going through that phase of separation with parents, it's trauma. One not having their parents around is traumatic because they look around every day and say, but this is how life is supposed to be. Why am I going through that? So the question is that we have to define trauma and not box it into to say the only person that goes through trauma is that. And like you said, it's changes to one's life. My life is about to change. I am used to a certain type of lifestyle. I'm used to having certain type of people in my life. Now they are no more. What do? Do I sit back and feel sorry for myself and say, every time I become a victim, whenever I was in Tabi invite me for coffee, I still tell them about the story. 10 years later, I'm still repeating the same story. And then it becomes like when you call people, actually, you know what, I'm committed. But it's not like they are committed, it's that they are tired of hearing the same story. But the most important thing is to sit down and say, what do I want out of life? What does Cathy want? Yes, I've gone through this. Yes, my life has changed, but what can I do about it? And that's where you sit down now. I think you always talk about journaling, about doing whatever, where you sit down and write down and say, how do I want to look at my life? Normally, whenever I've got my little coaches, I've got this thing where I call it, I know it might sound terrible, but I ask them, do 3 circles. And in these circles, we've got a circle that is called hell. We've got a circle that is called heaven. We've got a circle that is called status quo. In your status quo, that's your current situation, where you are right now. And I say to them, write your current situation. Where are you at? Then we go to hell. I say, write about things that you don't even want to go back to. This is the trauma that we're talking about. The life that you had, things that you don't want. Remember, in all this life, it's not like it was altogether bad. But you need to pick out those things that this is the one thing that I do not want to ever experience while I'm still alive. And then heaven, give us a picture where you want to go. And once people start doing that, now then, it gives them, a light bulb comes through that, you know what? Yes, this is where I am right now. But I can either go to hell or go to heaven. There's no 3 ways about it. It's this way or that way. Then once they start looking at that, it's like, okay, this is how heaven looks like. And I said, okay, if this is how heaven looks like, how do we get to heaven? Mm-hmm. Then we start doing the planning. Okay, I would like to start studying. Okay, if you want to start studying, what is it that you want to start studying?
That brings me to my next question. Mm-hmm. How integral is it for one to participate in their journey towards recovery from any trauma? Because it's all good and well. Many people complain about what they've been through. They complain about not wanting to stay where they have been. But in terms of actively participating and taking the steps towards recovery, how does one get there?
Dr. Ntebe, I'm happy that you say how important it is for one to participate. Like any other sport or anything, you can sit there and become a fan and watch your life just go by. Or you can say, I want to decide how my life goes through. So, and there's so many ways for you to do it. You can either by deciding to say yes, and people think that you always have to go to someone that you look up to. Go to somebody within the community or your family that you can talk to, or you go to coaches, or someone might feel like I need to go and see a psychologist or whatever. But do something about it. Take the first step to say and admit that I need help. Remember, it doesn't matter how many times I can tell you how much you need help, how you can, but you need to say and admit and say, you know what, I am here. Yes, it has happened, but I do not want to stay here.
Now let's interrogate this. The planning towards the help that you need. Say, now I've decided I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be bitter anymore. I want to heal. How important is it, or the planning aspect of your healing journey? And I think maybe this is where the role of your likes as life coaches come in. The role of clinical psychologists come in to say, let's develop a strategy as to how we approach your healing.
I think what we need to do first is to identify. That's why we normally, before, when you come to see me for the first time, we just have a normal conversation. I check the tone of your language. I check your body language, because remember, we are NLP practitioners. At first, whenever you talk to people as a life coach,
What's NLP?
Oh, neuro-linguistic practitioner,
Okay.
Meaning that we read body language. So I can sit here, you can come here and smile and say whatever. Your body can tell me that I'm not welcome. You don't have to say much. You don't even have to say much. I can pick it up because of that. But whenever you are talking to somebody and say, tell me about your life, you know, they will tell you. At first, obviously, they will tell you about how bad things are. You know, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And after listening to them, after they've told you everything, and they think you're just going to use a magic wand and say, voila, you know, things are not, and you say, what do you want? How can I help you? Remember, my job is not to give you the tools to say, my job is to help you with the tools, and I hold your hand and say, how do we walk this journey together? I give you a roadmap, but you need to walk in this roadmap. So what I do is that, okay, this is where we're at. This is where we want to be. But in order for us to move from point A to point B, you're going to need A, B, C, D. You're going to need to do the work. I don't do the work as a life coach. I'm going to give you some assignments. I'm going to give you things that you need to do. Like I made an example of somebody say, I want to go to school. You need to go and find which university. You need to go and find what you want to study. You need to go and find out what are the, in order for me to go there, what do I need to do? Once you've done all the work, now you come back to me and I say, oh, now we've got all of this. You said you wanted to do communication. If you look at your marks, do they qualify you to go into that? And he said,
let me interrupt you there and say, what I'm picking up from your answer is accountability as well. On my part. I can't sit there and say I'm wounded. I can't sit there and say the world is not giving me anything good. What accountability am I taking towards my journey of healing?
Exactly.
So Coach Cathy can give me everything. There is something that I have to give out of it for myself.
And that's where we come in. Remember, I become your accountability partner.
Oh, partner.
Partner. Yes. I'm your accountability partner. Remember, you've said you're doing this. You've committed to me. Remember, I didn't go looking for you. You came, you said you wanted to do that. And I said, you need to do this. So now that you know that you have to come back and report back. Because remember, I'm seeing you and I'm saying, oh, I'm seeing you in 2 weeks again. By the time we meet,
we evaluate. How far are we? What progress have you made?
Exactly. And if we have not reached our goal, I need to know what stopped us to reach that goal. And how is the goal? How are we going to go forward? Because it doesn't help for us to say, I want to achieve a goal and now the next goal. No. There's accountability I need to know. And you might come up with an excuse like, we're load shedding, and I can be like, that's 2 hours. You've got the schedule. So what am I teaching you? Excuses must come to an end. In order for you to achieve whatever that you want to do, I'm not going to sit here and listen to your excuses. And if that kind of behavior continues, I, as your coach, I become very frank and say, you know what? I'm enjoying the money. I'm really loving it. But we cannot continue.
There's no progress.
There's no progress. You are not serious. And then once people you start getting to that stage, then people realize that this is not child's play. We are not playing. This is your life. And you cannot be going around and say, I've got Coach Cathy, but only Coach Mara, there's no progress. So there's accountability on your side, there's you taking responsibility and you making that decision to say, I want to see things better. And then all I come is to say, let's walk the journey together.
Let's talk about the role of vision. Having a vision of where you're going in terms of life, and saying that, you've spoken and said, you give someone a picture, they must say to you, this is my hell and this is my heaven. So I take it in a way that your heaven is in somewhat a vision.
Definitely.
Of where you want to get.
Exactly.
So how likely is it that someone who doesn't have a vision is going to really be progressive in their journey of healing?
Let's be honest. Watsoga every morning and like
we'll see.
We'll see. How do you wake up every morning and say we'll see? So even if you wake up at 11, we're not labona, you'll see where we're going. Remember, even with us in our daily work, by the time I go to bed, I've got a task list of what am I going to do tomorrow? What is it that I want to achieve? I put that in a task list. I might not tick each and every box that is on my task list for the day, but at least I have an idea of what kind of a day I want to have. And I've got, especially with the young ones, I say, put even that pace to say, 5 o'clock meditation, 10 past whatever, I'm going to take a bath. This and that. And by you putting in there, you've got a structure. Now you are not all over the place. Because when you don't have a vision, I was in Tabi, regardless of what, you are all over the place. Tomorrow you are there, and you say, hey, things don't come together. They will not come together because you do not know what you're doing. You touch here, you don't finish. And people that don't have a vision, now they've got a spirit of what? Procrastination. Everything, I will do it tomorrow. I will do it tomorrow. By the time you realize we're in 2024, we are saying happy. You have done absolutely nothing. And you look at your peers, and they've accomplished much. And what do you do now? It brings the spirit of jealousy. They think they are resentment.
Well. Yeah.
They think they are better. No. It's not to say that they think they are better. They had a plan. They had a vision of where they're going.
Now, how important is it that one must be realistic? Having a realistic vision.
It's important.
For yourself.
I always say that when, a vision goes with goals. When you do realistic goals, you are able to achieve them. The worst thing that you can do for yourself is to have a vision that is not realistic. Because when you are not achieving it, you become despondent. You become disappointed. You look at yourself as a failure. I always say whenever we're going through the marks with the coaches, my young coaches, I love them. And I'm like, coach, I'd like to be a lawyer. I'm like, for real? Yes, I'd like to be a lawyer. And I'm like, okay, please find out what is the entrance. Just find some simple university or whatever. Don't go far. Closer to you, what is the entry level?
Requirements.
Entry requirements. And they come back. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, my friend, this and this.
They don't marry.
Are they talking to each other? And then you see them like, yeah, now I see. Now that's when the work starts. Because now you see what you're saying. And what do? You don't say, I always say to a child, or even a young adult, the highest mark that you've ever gotten on maths, what is it? And they'll say, once upon a time I did get 70. And you find out we are on 40s. Now I know that this child is capable of getting 70. So now what are we pushing? Probably its first term is 40, then we put 5%. Can we push for 45% for next year?
We don't just
no, we don't
go
to 70.
Go to 90, we are going back.
But I say it's a hardly. Now we just because you come back, 45, half year 90. Alright, coaching is not working. You see, I've done that. But you say, step by baby steps. Let's put 5%. And you'll be surprised when you said, let's go to 45. They come back and give you 50. Now when we're on 50, well done. And I always teach them this thing, celebrate your milestones. It doesn't matter how small they are. Then from 50, you're like, now we're putting 55. We don't just jump and expect that everything will just become like that. By the time you realize we go to second term of the next year, this child has reached 70 and above. What has that done? His confidence has increased. Now they believe in themselves. Now they believe they can achieve. Because why? The goal and the vision was realistic. And it looked achievable. We didn't just move from 40 and say, now we're going to 70. And when they look like, how do I get to even 25? How do I get to 5? But they didn't even see when they were busy climbing that ladder to go to 70.
So part of your journey should also be, having realistic goals, realizing that with every baby step that is achieved, you are motivated, you are encouraged, and you want to give more and do more.
And another thing, don't be too hard on yourself when you're not achieving that. We learn from failure. Say, what is it that made me not to achieve my goal? Introspection. It's good to go back and say, oh, maybe I Netflixed a lot. That's why I didn't achieve what I wanted. Maybe I did that. Then you now know what are the triggers, your environment. Now next time you know that when I'm in my studies, I don't pay Netflix. I don't pay that subscription. I do not have the electronics around me that are going to disturb me. Now you are starting to say, I need to make sure that I create an environment that is going to make me study. I create an environment, if I want to start meditating, that is going to make me to meditate. If I want to start losing weight, I create an environment. And I can't have chips and everything all over the place and chocolate and everything and
expect the result.
And expect the result. But now what do? You start disciplining yourself. So it comes to the point of discipline.
So it's... I often hear people speak about having a vision board. Can I say that I've got a vision of where I want to go and it's in my head?
It's in your head, it's beautiful. But who's going to hold you accountable for it? Remember, once you've got a vision board, it's visualizing. It's like, when you go into Mauritius, and you've got pamphlets. Hey, wait, that costume, ne?
Yes.
And you're looking at that blue water, and you're looking at that hotel. Hey, the food. Hey, you see yourself in Emirates. You're flying Emirates.
I'm ready.
Business class, you're already buying the things. That's because you have seen it. You can see that it's possible. But if you've got a vision in your head, and you don't see it, how do you know that it's achievable?
Well, someone can say the Bible says that write the vision down.
Yeah, that's why vision, remember, doesn't have to be pictures only. You write it down. You will be surprised that when you deal with young people, and I think maybe that's what I like about them. For them, the world is an oyster. They can just do anything. Last year when we held a teens vision boarding picnic, they were doing vision board for the first time. You'll be surprised how they divided their vision board. It was mental health and spiritual. Listen, and some of them didn't use pictures. They wrote down what they want to achieve, but they were able to put there. So when they are in their room, they say, this is what I wanted to achieve when it comes to my physical fitness. This is what I wanted to achieve when it comes to my relationship with God. This is what I wanted to achieve when it comes, and they have put them so nicely and wrote them down like they say, write them down. They wrote them down and they knew exactly what they wanted. And I can tell you that they achieved their goals. They achieved their vision, the vision board that they had. Most of them will say, coach, I see it.
We're talking now the marriage between vision and purposeful living. Are they the same thing?
In a way, they talk to each other. Because once you've got a vision, it guides you into their purpose. What is your purpose? What am I living for?
Is it not a matter of once you have a purpose, it guides you into a vision?
Sometimes you've got a purpose and you don't know how to get there. That's where the problem comes in. You've got, I've got this thing. Have you ever said, hey, can I zili, man? I know, I can. But remember, your vision board, I always say, whenever you do your vision board, do it as a roadmap. It must talk to you. Oh, I start here. And in order for me to get there, I need this and that. Like the kids will say, I want new sneakers. I said, when you say new sneakers, me going to a certain shop and buying sneakers, they are new. The minute you mention the name of the brand, now we need to have a conversation. And then now I will say to you, look, now I had budgeted 500 Rand for the sneakers. So the ones that you're looking for, it's 1,000 Rand. So how are we going to balance the other 500 Rand? Then it's like, hey man, I really need those sneakers. You know what? Now when I've got on my vision board, I'm going to, instead of getting that guy who's doing the garden, for the next 2 months, let's not tell the garden boy, the garden person not to come through. I will do the garden.
So that we realize.
Then what do you do? Now you have people, so it's a garden now your main aim is to achieve that. But in order for you to do that, now you are saying, they pay maybe 250 or whatever. If I get 250 for 2 months, now I've got the 500 Rand that I'm in need of in order for me to get my sneakers. And now we are teaching them that things do not just come like that. We work for them. And like for you, in order in life to get anything, you need to have a purpose and say, when I've got the purpose, but where is my purpose taking me to? And in order for your purpose to take you somewhere, you need to have an idea of where you're going.
What about someone who says, I don't know why I'm here? I get that quite a lot.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who don't know what they are doing in life, who have no idea where they want to see themselves in the next 5 years. There are people who are just living, just cruising through life.
I wish I was them, because it frustrates me as a person when I don't know, where am I going? And let's be clear here. We are not talking like knowing in terms of, I want to control everything. Yeah.
No, I want to control. That is the role of God. Yeah. But at least,
even the idea,
I want to study.
Exactly.
In the next 5 years, this is what I'm working towards. I want to, qualify as an accountant. I want to heal. I want to be able to have a better relationship with my mother.
Exactly.
I can't just cruise.
No, you can't just cruise. I think the problem with us, we never want to have a conversation with ourselves. Have you ever seen those people who just don't want to be alone?
Afraid of listening to the person within,
the
voice
within. The voice within, because whenever I'm sitting alone, whenever I'm surrounded by people, there's so much happening around me, so they distract me.
Then that silences the voice.
Yeah, it silences the voice. But when I'm alone, the voice is like, hey, Kante, what are we doing here on earth? And you don't want to answer that question, right? Because it comes back to what you're saying. We don't want to take accountability. We don't want to take responsibility of our lives. It feels good for us to say, I am like this because my dad did not take care of me. I am like this because my mother was never present. I am like this. So you've got other people and other forces to blame for your situation. So that's why you want to cruise. Where the ship is going, it's wherever I lay my head, that's my home. Because you just don't want to. But if you can take time and start enjoying your own company, sit there. It is not comfortable when you do it the first time. Especially when you now, I have to face life. I have to talk about these things. They are not comfortable. But sometimes it is good to just sit and say, Bona, no, shubile manje. It's bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Tonight, I hope you have learned. There's no journey for healing that comes with comfort. When you want to heal, it's a very uncomfortable journey to go on. It starts with you sitting and listening to your voice. It comes back again to you taking accountability. And further, having a vision of where you want to go. If you want to heal, you must be purposeful in your journey. Join me again for the second installment with Coach Cathy as we talk this time how she became a coach. God bless you.
Get yourself a copy of our latest books, The Mending of a Broken Vessel and Maintaining Your Joy, a journal for daily positive living. Visit a bookstore near you.